Hello everyone, today we have an important video. You might be able to tell from the title of the video, but we're going to be talking about Blender's donation campaign, because Blender is in a bit of a tenuous position. It's not really guaranteed that it will be stable into the long-term future, even though it does have a lot of active support. So what I'm going to do today is just talk a little bit about why I donate to Blender, how it's helped me over the years, and also maybe see if you would like to give anything. Now, I know that not everyone can give anything, and I certainly don't think you should feel bad about that, because we're in a cost of living crisis, and a lot of the people that use Blender are trying to learn to use it to maybe help them find a job or just like progress in their life, whether it's freelance or even just for like personal reasons as an escape from something. We all take different elements of value from Blender and it improves our lives in different ways. But there's one question I want you to keep in mind throughout this video, which is, has Blender been worth more than $5 for you this year? That's really the main question to keep in mind. And the reason I say that is because the messaging they've gone for this year is that if every active user of Blender contributed $5 this month, Blender would be funded for the entire year of 2026. It is true that the vast majority of people that use Blender don't donate anything, which again, that's not too unexpected because the wide audience base of Blender is going to be encompassing everyone of all age ranges, including people that just use it out of curiosity and then abandon it quickly because, it's quite a time commitment to learn something like that. But it also includes people that use it professionally, make hundreds, thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars, or have built studios that rely on it that still never give anything back to the software. I want to emphasize that despite a lot of corporate sponsorships for Blender, its future is not guaranteed. With Blender, we have something that is special. We get so many updates so frequently, and I know that despite not everyone's wishes being met in terms of feature requests, all I would say is you can do just a quick comparison with other 3D software packages. I see constantly on social media people complaining about, Cinema 4D, Maya, 3D Studio Max, whatever, because the corporate environment that surrounds these 3D software packages is not necessarily conducive to innovation. And though Blender is lacking in certain areas, it is also innovating in others, especially with geometry nodes. But not just that, areas like Grease Pencil, etc. And again, if you think any of these particular areas is worth more than $5 to you, then just consider a one-time donation. That's it, just like a cup of coffee for the Blender team. And again, if not, that's fine. You can actually still help just by sharing the video or sharing the donation page. In fact, I'm going to have a link in the description and the pinned comment where you can go and have a look. Even if you don't donate, you might find it interesting just going through the link and then having a look at how this donation push is helping Blender to raise money, because the values are going to be different to what you see on the screen now, because you're going to be watching this in the future. So it might be worth just going and having a little look. And also on the page, you'll be able to see what corporate sponsors there are. And for anyone signed up donating on a subscription, as in we pay a bit every month, you can get your name put on the donation page. So if I search myself up, there we go, Curtis Holt under the gold section. And also my friend Cartesian Caramel, who you may know as Ben, is also there. We signed up at the same time. So obviously I donate because Blender is a large part of my day-to-day business. Now, I don't make a huge amount of money. In fact, I'm probably kind of in the middle to low middle average of like where YouTubers of this size make money in the Blender space, because I'm not that grindy when it comes to earning. I don't do sponsorships as such, and it's hard pushing products and things like that. But still, despite that, what I do have has been allowed because of Blender. I'm not the kind of person that's necessarily compatible with like the regular, employment space for a wide number of reasons. I've just got some, cognitive differences. I'm much more the kind of person that wants to like craft my own way, build my own business, that kind of thing. And that's actually like a personality thread that runs through the family. So I think I've inherited it in some way. But to do something like that requires supporting tools, basically an infrastructure that allows it to happen. Importantly, without investing money that you don't necessarily have. And that's where Blender comes in. Blender became like an axis for me to build tools around that would A, hypothetically help me in the future for freelance projects, but B, would also give me the community that I could build for. So on a personal level, that is why Blender's been important for me. It solves two problems. It helps me with future work for like independent freelance studio things, experiments, R&D, wherever we take that angle, game dev, whatever. And secondarily, it provides a community to build around. Importantly, because the ecosystem is so open and free, as startups in a sense, we don't necessarily feel constricted by kind of arbitrary or unnecessary like royalties, commissions, license agreements, that kind of thing. The only thing we need to keep in mind is the GPL license, which is designed there to keep the free nature of the software alive. It's been a lot of fun building tools for Blender, And I'm constantly adding new things to like my Patreon, and I'm doing updates for my own products, which is why I give back, because it's such an integrated part of my business model. That's why I'm a gold subscription member. I would love to give more, and idealistically I hope I can give more, which is why I'm going to make a commitment in this video that I have not said before, but it has been on my mind. And I won't give exact values yet, but as my Patreon grows, I will commit to stepping up my subscription level in Blender to correlate with the Patreon growth, so that there is a direct feedback into Blender as my success grows. And I think that's the way that it should be in this creator space. In the work that I've done over the years, I find that collaborating with other creators is one of the more enjoyable aspects, because we kind of collectively help to inspire each other to come up with new ideas and create new tools. These tools end up being used by people that are in like the visual effects industry, and you'll see them used on, great massive movie productions. Things we create incidentally, I'll get sent videos of people that are using them in VJ loops, raves, big shows, that kind of thing, in video games as well. You've seen some of my work and you wouldn't even realize it elsewhere on YouTube. I've mentioned before about how Fern uses some of my lighting tools. By collaborating, we strengthen the community space. And I think the only way we keep this alive is by tending to the garden, which is a term I like to use, which is where we make sure that we are actively giving back to the people that help us. By doing that, we have the confidence that in time, they will also give back to us in our time of need. And I think that donating to Blender is a very simple example of doing this. So that's my commitment. I'll talk about specific numbers in the future, but as my Patreon grows, I will increase my contribution to Blender. And I encourage other creators to do the same. Now, you don't have to make a commitment like that. Again, a one-time donation of about $5 is the only thing that they're asking for. I understand that people don't want to sign up for new subscription services as such, because there's a lot of fatigue about that, especially in this day and age. But, like I said, most people who use Blender don't donate. But there is something that I think is reasonable. You don't have to sign up to donate every month. But why not just give $5 every year? $5 a year. Is that too much to ask? Too difficult? Again, I'm speaking to people that actually have some form of disposable income. Now I want to speak to people who represent studios. There is a way I thought about the Blender development team in the past that made me feel quite excited about having them there actually working on this project, and excited to pay them for it. Imagine that you owned a studio and you had a team of people building a really cool piece of software for you to use, just for you. Okay, let's imagine it's just for you. How much would you need to pay a team of people in your own studio to build something like Blender from scratch? And how long do you think that would take? To be honest, building software like that from scratch with the right kind of skill set would cost you millions of dollars, if I'm being realistic. All right, I have to add a bit more in case someone says, no, you can vibe code it in 2 hours with AI. No, Blender has years worth of provenance in bug fixing and synergizing or establishing parity between features. It may be the case that without actually doing software development, you may not know how important these things are. Software development is more than just code. It is about careful consideration and proven use over generations of development sprints. And that is what takes a long time and a lot of investment. The software development space could be very expensive, and people will get filtered out and back in all the time. If you wanted to build something exactly like Blender, it's going to be a very difficult endeavor, and there's going to be a lot of money involved. Now, you, possibly as an independent creator who's starting, getting out, maybe working on a video game or something, or if you've got a small studio, you get the benefit of a cheat code in the way of you have a team full of people making software for you remotely. And it costs you nothing. The only differences are, instead of it being exclusive to you, it's available to everyone, and you don't get to control exactly what they do. But it's not like the Blender development team is a closed ecosystem, like a closed echo chamber. They do listen to the community, and I know a lot of people in the community might go, do they? They haven't fixed this. I've been complaining about this for ages. Well, I know for a fact that they're quite active in the community. I've spoken to them about how in touch they are with the space, which has actually been quite interesting as a Blender YouTuber, because we never really have that much interaction with them, so we don't really know how much they watch or what they really get up to. But they do know more than we think they know. And also, I do know occasionally what they do is they have meetings about particular areas of Blender, and they select prominent members in the community that will have value to contribute to that particular area, and then they talk with them in meetings. So even though I know there are people disappointed online oh, they haven't fixed Eevee yet, when are they going to do this? You've got to imagine it would be very unprofessional for them to, where the direction of Blender emotionally on their face and argue with people in online spaces about why certain features are being prioritized over others. But they do put an active effort into sourcing valuable information carefully and letting that inform their decision process. Again, I myself have also been part of a couple of meetings, particularly at previous conferences. So again, one more thing I want to say about that is, if you have feedback for Blender, the way to go about providing it is not by complaining. Complaining doesn't really help. What helps is educating and inspiring. If you notice a bug, that's fine. Use the bug reporting feature, whatever. If you think something should be presented a different way in the software, present an example of how an alternative would look. Again, as an open source project, you can also learn to contribute to the code base, and also just by developing resources and demonstrations and providing them for free, that's also another way of contributing back. Blender 5.0 is about to be released, and with that we're going to get a suite of new features and changes, and I say every time, I'm so impressed with the amount that we managed to get in each of these updates, especially when compared to the 3D software packages of other companies. I do think it's worth every penny, and if you want to, then feel free to use the link in the description or the pinned comment and just give $5. Help a brother out, as they say. And by the way, with the link that I have in the description and the pinned comment, you may notice that there's a tracking section on the URL. That is something new this time. The Blender Foundation wanted to learn where people come from, or I think, actually, just to be transparent, I think they're trying to figure out how effective we are as communicators. We don't get a cut of the funding or anything, so don't worry about that. I think what happened last year was that when they did their donation push, YouTube activity caused a huge spike in donations. So I think they're kind of learning that just letting us do our thing, talking about it however we want to, is effective. And I also think they want to see which of the YouTube creators are the most effective at, getting people to consider donating. So basically, if you want to make me look good in front of Blender, then you can use the link. Again, even if you don't donate, just go and have a look at the page. Also, for a laugh, I would say go onto the page and see if any of your favorite YouTube Blender creators are not donating, and then call them out. I'm kidding about that. Don't call people out. It's not fair. Not in this cost of living crisis. Again, everyone contributes in their own way. And even just by making videos, by sharing artwork, just by talking about Blender, all of that, it really helps. Who knows? Maybe some of you watching this at the moment are actually on the screen. I think I do recognize some of the names on here. All right, that's about all I want to say. Again, Blender 5.0 is coming up soon. So when that releases properly, I will do the traditional update video. I know the release candidate is available now at the moment if you want to check that out. So you know what to do. Have a great day, everyone, and I'll see you next time.